Good evening, BookTube, YouTube, Johnny. This is Friday here in West Michigan. It is April the 4th. It's not April the 4th, it's April the 8th, 2022. I am sitting in the dining room writing in my paper diary. I'm on page 356 for the year 2022. Here's my folder. Yeah, I've been writing, not as much as I thought I would. Well, I am writing in that composition notebook I showed you down the lower level, but I have 4 online diaries. I mainly write in LiveJournal, Crooked Fingers, and then I write in Diaryland and in WordPress in another online diary. So I thought what I'd do is show you Friday Reads, what I have been reading, books that I have. Well, yesterday I got a book in the mail I had ordered, a used book, and it was the wrong book. So what you do is that you go to Amazon and you print out this slip and you take it to UPS and they mail it back to the book dealer, and hopefully they'll send you the right book back, or Amazon will refund you. It wasn't a really expensive book. I think it was like $7 or $8. It was a book on Henry James, The Creative Process. But right across the street from UPS is the Blue Stocking bookshop. And of course, I had to stop because I was right there, right? And so they have remodeled the store, and they expanded it. And they have a corner called the Discount Corner, and I found these books for 50 cents a piece. And it's everything I collect, so I thought I'd just show them to you. I got this, you might call it a Blue Stockings mini book haul. I found another book by John Barth. I showed you, I got one there from Blue Stocking last week, his novel Letters. And this is Further Fridays. He wrote a book called Fridays. This is Further Fridays. Essays, Lectures, and Other Nonfiction, 1984 to 1994 by John Barth. So I read this last night. There was, the first was Teacher, just a little essay. It was really interesting. And then I picked up another John Barth book for 50 cents. See, it says 50 cents. These are, I don't have this in my John Barth collection. On with the Story. Stories by John Barth. It's in perfect condition. It's not underlined. I wish it was a signed edition, but it's not. But, so, there's a picture of John Barth. So I got 2 John Barth books, 50 cents a piece. And then I picked up this book for 50 cents. History of Libraries in the Western World by Michael H. Harris. And I read last night the chapter on monastic and cathedral libraries, which was very interesting. I was reading that. Got this from my Books on Books collection. And then I picked up, I collect, one of my favorite writers is Rick Bass, and this is his first collection of short stories. Rick Bass, The Watch Stories. So this is what I read today. I read last night and I read it today. I volunteered at the Book Nook, the library used bookstore, from 10 to 1, and I read from this. And I was reading this long story called The Watch, and I know I have read it somewhere else. Must be some short story anthology I read it. But I read that. And then I picked up at Blue Stockings yesterday for 50 cents. This is a novel I had. It's by John Crowley. I have 4 or 5 of his novels. And I just saw recently he has a new novel out. John Crowley. He wrote all kinds of, I should have brought him up here. But I had this novel. And when I was going through my library last summer, putting things in order, I could not find it. So I found this. It's called The Translator by John Crowley. It's a novel. This is a perfect condition. It's only 50 cents. 50 cents. So I was pleased to find this because I looked and looked for it. And now I have the copy. And then I picked up for 50 cents. This is Vow to Poetry, Essays, Interviews, and Manifestos by Anne Waltman. She wasn't a beat poet, but she was like the first generation. You might say she's the second generation. She taught at the Naropa School of Disembodied, Jack Kerouac Disembodied something. I can't remember now. Maybe it's on the back here. Vow to Poetry is a clarion call from one of the most dynamic and iconoclastic poets that tears down the walls of prescribed creative processes. The stirring assemblage of an autobiography, interviews, essays on politics, poetics, Buddhism, Naropa University lays bare a life dedicated to the imperatives of experimental poetry and cultural activism. Anyway, I have 2 books of her poetry downstairs, and I have a group of essays from Naropa. Allen Ginsberg taught at Naropa. I think Gary Snyder, Ann Charters, the very famous beat scholar. Anyway, I found this for 50 cents. So I was reading this last night on her, it's like her autobiography, a little autobiographical essay. So I got all those at Blue Stockings, about $1.50, something like that. Everything I collect. So I got those, and different collections. Really interesting. I like reading about libraries, and can't go wrong with John Barth. And then I got a book in the mail this week, another Harry Crews, Childhood, a Biography of a Place. I told you I was reading Harry Crews, the gospel singer. They just have reprinted these Penguin Classics. I wish they print all of his works like this. I have some of his books downstairs, but some are really rare. The Gospel Singer is one of the most rarest, and I've been reading it. Yesterday, I went downtown Holland to get a pair of shoes. My feet had been bothering me, and I thought I'd get another pair of shoes. And I stopped at Rita's World Bookstore downtown to look for some poetry by Jim Harrison. And I bought this, The Shape of the Journey. These are, this was published in 1998 and 2000. As you know, Jim Harrison was a writer, but he was also a poet. He's from Michigan, and I really enjoy his prose. I collect all his writings, and I want to buy his complete poetry, which costs $40, but I thought I'd start out with this one, Jim Harrison, Shape of a Journey. These are new and collected poems. And what else I've been reading? I've been reading Britain's Empire, Resistance, Repression, and Revolt by Richard Gott. I was reading this the other day on all the slave revolts in the Caribbean, which has all been in the news because one of the, was it Prince, one of the, I can't, Queen Elizabeth's grandson, who's, anyway, they were in the Caribbean and it was all in the news. But anyway, this is Britain's Empire, and I was reading the Caribbean in the wake of the French Revolution. I was reading this. I showed you this book, Stories Done, Writings of the 1960s and the Discontents by Michael Gilmore. I'm on the chapter I'll be reading next, Haight-Ashbury, The Summer of Loss, which is the Summer of Love, but he calls it The Summer of Loss, 1968. I got this book in the mail today. It's a used book. It's an American Memoir by Henry Seidel Canby. This was published in 1947, and the reason why I got that is that I have been reading Literary History of the United States, 3rd edition by Robert E. Speller, Willard, Thorp, Thomas H. Johnson, Henry Seidel Canby, and Richard M. Ludwig. I showed you, I picked up Canby's book, Turn West, Turn East, where he compares the literary fiction of Mark Twain and Henry James. And so I've been reading this. I'm on the chapter now on the making of a man of letters, and then it goes into poets and essayists, and then it goes into the American dream. Anyway, I've been enjoying reading this. So I read about him that he had a memoir out, and it covers the 1890s up until the 1940s. He was a very prominent literary critic. He was an editor. He was really involved in the literary scene of that time period, which I'm very interested in, especially from the 1890s up into the 1940s in America. So this is American Memoir. I was at the Book Nook today and I bought this book, Oxford Guide to Ideas and Issues of the Bible. So I got this. I think it came from some church library. It didn't come from our library, so I picked this up. It's edited by Bruce M. Mitzer, who's a very famous New Testament translator, critical textual scholar, and Michael D. Coogan. And then I picked up this novel by Gary, I can't pronounce his name. I have 3 of his novels plus his memoir, which I looked for this afternoon and could not find. This is his new novel, Our Country Friends by Gary Schnegart. I have his books and I cannot find them. I looked all over. I can't find it, but I found it. I bought this today at the Book Nook for $3. Yeah, I have his 3 other books and a memoir by him. I cannot find them. So what I've been reading in the morning is the same thing as Denis and the Carthusian, his commentary on the Psalms, reading Jonathan Edwards' Pastor, Religion and Society in 18th Century Northampton by Patricia J. Tracy, reading Jonathan Edwards' Spiritual Writings and the Classics of Western Spirituality, reading The Glory of God and Paul, Text, Themes, and Theology by Christopher Morgan and Robert E. Peterson. This morning I read, before I went to the Book Nook, Francisco de Osuna, the third spiritual alphabet, and the classics of Christian spirituality. He was very like 18th century, 17th century, golden age of Spanish mysticism. And I was reading him because of Saint Teresa of Avila. I've been reading about a couple of weeks ago. Still reading Ludolph of Saxony and the Life of Jesus Christ. I'm almost done with this volume. I got a couple more chapters. Supposed to get the fourth and final volume this month. And then I'm almost done with Beeke's third volume, Reformed Systematic Theology, Spirit and Salvation. I'm on now Obedience to God's Law, Part 3. It's on the 5th and 7th commandment of the 10 Commandments, the Torah. So these are the things I read throughout the week, throughout in the mornings and afternoons and evenings. I just immerse myself in the world of books and writing and reading and just waiting for my wife to get home from Washington. She gets home Monday night, this coming Monday. So that's it. That's my book world, reading the Bible. And I got a Bible today from the Book Nook. This came in. This is the version my wife uses. It's called the English Standard Version. And somebody brought this in, a volunteer, and he was giving it away, and I took it. So now I have the New King James and the English Revised Version. So I got this book. I didn't show you this book. I might as well just show it since it's sitting here. The guy who comes after me, he's the one I got the Bible from, the volunteer, and he was getting rid of books. They just moved into a new house, and he had a box of books, and I took the Bible and I took this book, Masterpieces of Western American Art. And I like Western art, things like that, all the American West. And so I took this book, Masterpieces of Western American Art. So I'll take that as a freebie. So, yeah, I got a lot to read. Read about the Summer of Love, and read Jim Harrison's poetry, and read some more of The Gospel Singer by Harry Cruz, and just goes on and on. Write in my diary, do my sciatica exercises, walk around the block. And tomorrow's a Saturday. Tomorrow I have to go pick up our lawnmower. I took our lawnmower in to get serviced. Pretty soon I'll have to mow the lawn. So I got the lawnmower ready, and they called me this afternoon to go pick it up. It's all tuned up and ready to mow the lawn. So that's my Friday reads. What I read today, what I read was The Watch, Stories by Rick Bass. And this morning I read the Third Spiritual Alphabet by Francisco de Osuna. I can't pronounce his name, and I'm on page 356 in my 2022 diary. So I hope you had a good reading week. I hope you have a good weekend. I do still have thrift store books downstairs in the lower level I have not shown. I did get a notice that book on the Book of Job by Gregory the Great was mailed out. So I'll be getting that either tomorrow or next week I'll show that. Anyway, thank you for your comments. Thank you for the new subscribers. Do pray you have a good reading week. Pray for Ukraine. Pray for world peace. Come, Lord Jesus, quickly. Until next time, bye.